board meeting to order. It's Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. And Deneen, if you could do a roll call.
Kate.
Here.
Kathy.
Here.
Melissa.
Here.
Brittany.
Here.
Matthew.
Here.
Raven.
Here.
Kristen.
All right, the next item on our agenda is public comment. Any people from the public wishing to comment?
None.
Okay, then we will move on to the fire and EMS Agreements, Town of Arena response. Right. Do you want to hear?
Well, I'm assuming it's the item 2 in the board packet?
Yes. Or, item 4, actually.
They sent us a copy of our,
I put in what you guys approved, and they came back with extension to November 2025.
and I want to know till May 1st, 2025.
And what's the reason for that?
They don't get one. My opinion is the whole reason that we're not doing the agreement is because of payments. And so this would make us continue to pay more than we should for another year. So I don't agree with this.
Well, it doesn't coincide with our budget.
Yeah, and that's a problem too.
That's why I would say no to it.
Janine, what is the drop dead date that we have to be able to have a finalized budget to publish in newspaper to put on our tax rolls?
November.
What date in November?
To be published, or that we have to have them, because it has to be done the week before it's published. Well,
So-
15 days before, so.
So what date is that to be able to publish to get it on the tax rolls?
I haven't looked at the calendar, but within the first week of November.
Well, we need to look up and know that date because we need an agreement by that date. So whatever that date is in November, we need an agreement. I read this prior to the meeting, and there's also state statutes in our packet. The Village of Arena is not required to provide fire and EMS services. What we're doing is a voluntary contribution towards it. So the township, on the other hand, is required. Their ordinance and statute says shall. And in my opinion, if they're not going to agree to our agreement, which is a generous donation based upon fair market value and assessed values of home, we're going to budget zero this year. They need to come to the table for a reasonable agreement that isn't burning our residents.
And I did look up the legal definitions of shall. Shall is an action, it's usually indicating that certain actions are mandatory. May indicates a permissive provision. So we may do something, but we aren't required to. And that's the legal definition I looked up.
Yeah, that's my opinion. We need to know the date in November, and we need an agreement by that date.
So instead of December, you're going to November? Is that what you're asking?
Yep. We want an agreement by that date in November. We
Well,
sent them a reasonable agreement.
Don't we,
The agreement expires August 1st.
And
Don't
we've already
we-
appropriated our residents for the taxes, so I don't know why we wouldn't continue to consume the services for the rest of the year.
but we're going to budget for 2025. We need to know, I think, in September, because that's when we start the budget process.
Well, we can work on a budget with them, but they're gonna have to agree to the financing percentages by November.
So we lose coverage.
We don't lose coverage. They have an obligation to provide this.
they-
service.
They don't have an obligation.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Where does it say that?
You call 911 and the nearest fire EMS
Okay.
house sends an ambulance and they bill the
Okay.
consumer.
They bill the consumer. So we are now going to let our village residents pay the cost out of pocket.
They would anyway.
They would
No
anyway.
matter what.
You pay a fire engine bill, you pay an ambulance bill.
Yeah.
That's how.
And that's not going to be more
Funded.
now than it would have in the past.
Well, they find to raise their rates so that they can afford to run as an EMT and fire department.
I mean,
Separately.
The idea that we're going to let this expire and not agree to this and then negotiate with them after we agree to this.
We're not going to agree to May of '25.
Why is that?
We have to have our budget done for one thing.
Well, we can budget in for.
We're not
No,
gonna
we're
continue to
not.
pay half of
No.
something. Why would we pay half?
Why are we
December
not? I
31st.
just need to know, why are you there's so much energy. Hey,
Because they have
Don't shut
stuffed
down.
away
Hey,
$400,000.
I'm not shutting down. I'm not.
I don't understand why it's like, we're not. And yet there are 7 of us on this board who should be able to discuss this, the pros and cons, the possibilities, what are the options? And it's not. It's always, this is what we're doing. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. How did you come to that determination? And have we listened to what the villagers want? What do the residents want? Do they want this? Do they?
I have talked to all my neighbors.
You have
They're
talked to
sick of
them?
paying too much money.
Please, I want to see that, who you've talked to and what they've said. I'm just saying, I just don't get it. I'm not trying to
So
be
they have found a
adversarial.
way,
I'm
Becca,
trying
to charge us
represent
extra
you.
money, and now they have $400,000 stashed into account because of all the money we've paid.
Oh my
So they have
goodness.
found a way to funnel almost 400 grand, just shy of $400,000 towards whatever equipment they want because we're paying so much more for wages.
I don't know if that's so accurate.
It's absolutely
What
accurate.
about the fire truck that they're needing to get?
So we're supposed to pay an upcharge on wages so they can have a fire truck? Our contribution is supposed to be 30% for equipment, not 50.
I thought the agreement was 40, the one that from last year that Kathy said she felt forced into or something at a meeting.
It's almost 50,
And
it's
it's
like
wrong.
46% instead of 30.
And it's wrong.
Well, but it was agreed upon.
It was not agreed upon that we would pay an upcharge for wages. Those wages should have come out of the revenue. And we were lied to about revenue. They present a budget with revenue of only $25,000, yet there's 100 grand in revenue the one year and a whole bunch of years prior to that.
But we've had a representative on that board. How were they lying to us?
When you present a budget, it is supposed to represent what you're doing. It should be accurate. I don't know why it only had 25,000. That should be a question for the person that prepared the budget.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is that where is all of this information? We're jumping to all these conclusions.
I'm not jumping to conclusions, I have the numbers.
And I don't see the numbers, and I don't understand what you are so sure about. And that's problematic here with this board, is that you're all very, I don't know,
You've got it in.
comfortable with what you think you know. And
You do
you
know.
I dealt with this
Do
6
know.
years
You
ago.
may know, but you have not shown me as a
Well,
new trustee
to me,
anything that makes me be able to be confident that what we're doing is actually in the best interest of our village residents. That's what I am not clear on. That's all I'm saying. And just you telling me that this is what's right isn't quite what I've been voted in to do. I'm supposed to ask the questions.
Read the agreement from 2007.
And yes, we
It
have.
says in there
It's,
But there's
that it's
also-
based on
Go ahead. It's
the
based on-
equitable agreement. Then the agreement gets changed to the 40%.
And it had to have been, am I crazy? How did it get into be the agreement if it wasn't voted on?
Melissa's
So
going
we're
to be
not just
printing
talking
up
about
the,
this.
Well, it got voted on, but it was voted on, like I told you before, with incorrect information, so manipulation.
But where's the proof that that was incorrect? This is what I'm saying.
The proof is in the fact that it's supposed to be done with, what is the term for the fair, what is that term?
Equalizing out.
Equalized value. They came back with not doing it by equalized value, and then told a bunch of fibs about
Did they?
why to do it.
No, they fibbed?
Yes, they did.
Well, where's that evidence?
Go
This
back
is
6
what I'm
years and
saying.
you can look it
No,
up.
you're saying they fibbed, Kathy. I need you to show me where they did
Because the
that.
agreement says equalized value, period.
It's in
That's
one
not
of,
what
But
this
is
next
that-
agreement came to.
is
It came
that-
to a different percentage.
It seems like state statutes can be flexible.
No.
Because I'm.
no,
Yes.
state
Matthew,
statutes
in
are
your
state statutes.
experience, because maybe I'm wrong, but
It's in our packet for tonight. The statutes are in our packet.
Well, very nice.
They're not negotiable.
Are they not negotiable? Are state statutes definitive? This is what we have to do regardless.
That's what they should be.
And is that how we have approached things? Because I don't understand how we got a 60, why was that voted on? Why did you go ahead and say, okay, we'll do the 60/40?
Because I was told lies and misinformation.
You're not the only one who voted
And
on it.
manipulate, yeah, and I'm just telling you from my point of view, Becca, because I can only state it from my
I
point of view.
understand that, but you're not understanding what I'm saying. We can't just say we were lied to. We need to see how we were lied to.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. You're
Because it
expecting
was
me to
supposed to
just
be
believe
done by
that.
equalized value, and it was not.
and it's in our packet of a month or two ago of our regular board meeting. That agreement is in our packet, that original agreement. I don't remember if it's last month or the month before.
Okay, absolutely, all of that stuff would be in our packet. I'm just saying.
It's all provided
it's
to you.
there.
Yeah.
Of course it's provided to you. But I'm just saying, so why aren't we holding the state statute when we agreed on a 60/40? I thought state statutes were law.
That's not what the state statute says.
It says the equalized value, but you obviously didn't go by that. That's all I'm saying.
Can I read?
You can read.
61.64 is the state statute that is for villages. It says, ambulance service, the village board may purchase equipment, operate, and maintain ambulances and contract for ambulance service. May. And as I said, with the legal definition, may indicates a permissive provision. It doesn't say that we must. In fact, it also says for like fire, each village, and it's 61.65, item number 1A. Villages with a population of 5,000 or more must. Village with a population of under may provide fire. I mean, you got it in your packet. You've got the statutes, it's part of your packet.
Kate, yes, it is. But it still doesn't answer my question. If we are holding the state statute, why didn't we? And now all of a sudden we are. And yet it doesn't seem like we have any interest in talking to the town to say, wow, we need to come together and work in community to bring this back into balance.
That's what we're trying to do. They received the fire agreement and the EMS agreement, and the goal is that we get together and negotiate an agreement.
Well, that's
But-
not what you've been saying. You're saying absolutely not. We're not doing what they said.
We're not going to do May of 2025, that, in my opinion.
Why not?
We have to have a budget.
Well, don't we have to create the budget for the next year?
Yeah.
In
Okay, so,
September, October.
So we don't want to use the old percentages. We're not going to use the prior continue to pay almost 50% of wages.
We're not paying them 50%.
Yeah, please, I don't.
46?
Is that what it says?
Where does it say?
I'm just asking, because
Yeah, I just want to understand too.
if we agreed to 40,
I guess it-
Maybe it's 40 on this one? What was the prior year?
we previously agreed to 40% for EMS.
Right.
Each year it varies depending on the number of calls.
I'm trying to see what it is. And here's your, so they're at 341,000 as of June, and we're halfway through the year. So by the end of the year, they'll be at 400,000,
For wages?
for revenue. So when you look at the deposits for 2024, and you look at their savings checking account, that they're taking all the revenue that they're getting for EMS, that's up to 341,000.
In the savings.
Yep, that savings
Yeah.
account is where they're putting all the money. They told me that's their balance sheet.
You'll be full of calls from last year.
Do you want to? December 31st they were at 285,000 of last year. So in 6 months, they've increased that account by, you take your 341 minus your 285.
Right. Right. Does that not make sense? That they would have? That's what I don't understand, is don't they have to have money accumulated, or patience?
Are you able to clarify how much of this is our payment?
How much of the 341?
Yeah.
It's all the revenue that's going in.
Sure, but
So I don't know,
I'm not trying to start an argument, but if we're trying to figure out how much we're paying in on this,
that's taxes.
if this is just revenue,
Yeah, do you have a budget?
and the last agreement we signed said that we would cover 40% of EMS and 24% of fire.
Well, it's the wage line, so you have 40% versus 26, so it'd be an additional 14% on the one wage line that we're paying. But this has gone on for multiple years. It's not a one-year thing. I don't know how many years we've paid wages now. Is it 3? 6?
Was it 2020? That's the first one where
I know 2020 is when they had their meeting on the porch to decide how many calls we've had. And we were basically forced to agree to what they wanted.
How are you forced? I'm just asking, how are you forced?
Because they said they weren't going to re-up on their training.
and everyone was gonna quit.
And everyone's going to quit.
But isn't that where you go, I think we need to talk more, because there's obviously some issues. And
with these two separate agreements is to negotiate. And then we get a response back that they're not
asking
to
for more
extend.
They're asking for more time.
Which
to
means
let's
more
look
money.
at this. That's
Which
what they're
means-
saying.
Which means more money.
To be completely fair, you sent a notice of amendment, then you sent a notice of termination, then you send an amendment which was received and dated after the date in which it was required to be sent. So
We've already had this discussion.
it doesn't matter if we've had the discussion, it matters that they then sent a letter asking for clarification, and our response was to send them two separate agreements without
Which-
answering their question.
Which we voted on as a board.
Which is fine, but that's because there was no option to discuss.
That's what we're trying to do now, is to negotiate and discuss.
No, that doesn't address what I just said, which was they sent a question that they wanted answered. What was our plan? And all the board voted on was to send new agreements, not to answer their question.
That is our plan, though, what we sent them.
That,
Sometimes the simplest answer is the best. And it's just to say, we plan to amend the current agreement.
We're considering two commissions where we do not feel that we're paying the right amount. We're not following the
That's right.
state statute, but we haven't done that. We're not communicating with them. We're just putting down ultimatums, basically. This is what you have to do.
we reached out for them to give us some dates. Am I correct, Denise? Give us some dates that they would like to get together and discuss. Am I correct on that, Denise?
I'm confused. What agreement did we send them that had dates of when we were wanting them to come together and talk with us?
I didn't give dates. I asked them for dates so I could bring it back to you. They did not provide dates.
Is that when they sent back the letter to say, I'm confused, I'm asking questions? Is that?
They dropped off this agreement.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it. They apparently aren't agreeable to negotiate.
That's not the way I'm reading this
Well,
at all.
how I read
read
it
that
is they're okay to it, except they want more time.
What the,
And I have no idea why they want more time, other than we end up paying more for another 6 months.
It'd be another layer.
Yeah, it'd be a whole
Is that the only option that we have? Or is it that we come back and we say we would like to create the agreement or to change the charges to be what the state statute says?
but Denise said she'd spoken to them and asked them for dates. They haven't provided dates.
Do we have that? Because that had to be something separate than the agreements, because the agreements don't ask for the dates.
But Denise told them.
Read it.
And let's see here now. Okay, why wasn't this put in our packet? This should have been put in our packet. The Village of Marina is presenting the town of Marina with a proposal, with a proposed arena fire district and arena emergency medical service department agreements. The Village of Marina would appreciate your time in reviewing the documents enclosed and get back to the Village of Marina by July 31st, 2024. 2 copies of each agreement are enclosed, returned, signed, 1 copy of each. Okay. If you wish no long, wait, now let me just see. If you wish longer time to review or request further changes to the proposed agreement, please sign the agreement between the Village of Marina and Town of Marina for the fire protection and EMS services to extend the current agreement until December 31st, 2024. This will give us both more time to come up with a good agreement for our communities. Please provide a copy of the dates that the Town of Marina Board is available. Okay, so So what you were asking them to do is to sign those two agreements we sent them,
Now,
or back to this one?
back to the original one that was approved by the board for December. And that was provided.
Okay. I still think this should have been in our packet. I'm sorry? I didn't hear.
Is it good?
Um, So wouldn't it make sense for us to then send them another correspondence to say that we received your agreement or your thoughts, and we would like to have a meeting to discuss it? Like, I feel like, oh my God, let's just walk down to the town and knock on the door. I feel like this is like very,
Denise, did you say that they
like, we don't
dropped
know these people.
this? Did they drop this
Am
off?
I crazy? I don't know.
Okay. So they, you know, they know that we received this.
Okay.
And
So let's talk to them about why they feel this way. Like, why are we not doing that work? What is that?
well,
Is that a state statute that you're not supposed to go into communication?
That's why I asked them for some dates so we could set a special
Right.
board meeting.
So maybe they misunderstood like we misunderstood when we didn't answer their questions. So maybe we should reach out and say, hey, let's talk about this. Because we thought we'd get some dates so that we could talk about if you didn't like what we sent you.
Well, I agree that we need to respond, but I think we need to respond and tell them we don't agree and ask them for a meeting to discuss it and let them know that we need an agreement by such and such date. I think that's the communication they need, and we need to ask them for a meeting.
Well, that would be great. But I don't know that all of us feel that
I think we should make a motion and see who all agrees on the board.
well, isn't that always the way it works?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
still-
well, we do have to make a motion. I mean, that's why we're here.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we're here. We're here to understand and make sure we have all the information that we're making good decisions for the residents. Not just
Our
decisions
residents in the village.
for the community of Arena at large, people.
We're
Yes,
here to
we
represent the
make-
village.
I get you, but we
Yeah.
also have a role to play in this community to be open and communicative and supportive. And I don't see that we do it when we just go, now I want this agreement to be signed and be enforced by September
They have
or November or,
And what's wrong with that?
because there's not enough information yet. I can't vote with an honest conscience or a clear conscience by what you've all said.
You voted to send an agreement forward, so what do you mean you can't
So they
vote?
got the
I
agreement.
signed an agreement for them to take a look at.
Conversation, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. We have to put stuff in writing.
No kidding, but can we talk about it first?
Well, they sent it
Hash it out
back.
with
They agree. The only thing they disagree with is the date.
And they
So
haven't, they
let's talk to
haven't,
them, what that means to them. Because do they know that our concern?
the date that we want
Yeah.
to respond with.
yeah.
That's negotiated.
They put out a date, now we put out a date.
And we want to do it within our budget, so we can budget for the entire year. And not have our residents paying extra for another year.
All right, I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion to respond to the township and let them know that we are not agreeing to extend to May 1st, 2025, and that we would like to have an agreement by, Deneen, please look up the date, but whatever date it is in November, that we have to have an agreement to be able to establish our budget for the year.
Has to be in the paper by November 13th.
So 1 week prior,
That would be nice, but I'm not sure if you're going to be able to meet.
but then we would have to
Well,
have a meeting.
I think, you know,
Maybe a
it's
special
like,
board meeting or something.
yeah, in September.
Well, I don't think we're gonna have one by September. It doesn't prevent us from working on a budget. We can
Okay.
still work on a fire EMS
Well,
budget.
November
Have some
5th
agreement.
is election, so the 12th would be the Tuesday, and the 13th is when it needs to be.
But does that give us 1 week prior for publishing at November 13th?
Then it's 15 days following, then you'd have to do a special board meeting, or no, you have to be December 3rd, how I looked at it, and it could be approved.
And that's a Sunday.
So we need it by November
December.
13th. Is that the date?
Well, hopefully before, are you gonna approve?
Public
So we
comment
would
is
need-
over.
We would need ability to approve November 12th then? It
Yes.
leaves us no wiggle time though.
No,
November 10th. Let's go with November 10th, so we're able to schedule a special board meeting if
That's a
that's
Sunday.
No, okay, November 9th, 8th?
8th is a Friday.
Okay, by November 8th. So my motion is that we're gonna tell them that we do not agree to extend to May 1st, 2025, and that we want a signed agreement by November 8th, 2024 for budget purposes.
which is,
Between us and the township, a new signed agreement must be executed by that date.
fire and EMS.
Yep.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Melissa?
So, aye, whatever.
Who votes nay?
Opposed?
Or opposed? Who is opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
All right, are we ready to move on to item number 5?
Let me see.
So we're getting us a quote. It's for 3 years. Grant covers 2 years. And you need to ensure that you can continue for another year thereafter. It's part of the grant process, which is $530 per month. And then she breaks it down, and then I also provide you the contract. So I asked her a couple of questions as far as what they thought if we didn't get it, and she just indicated there's $3.5 million. They're not there yet, as far as being divvied out between everyone. So the only 2 reasons that you wouldn't get it is if you were over $100,000 per year requesting for that grant, which you're not, you're only at like 26,000, I think, for 2 years. Or you're unable to pay the 3rd year, and that would disqualify you. So they need to know by tomorrow morning because it goes to the league. Because they're writing a grant for the league's municipality, so they're all doing it all as one lump sum. Does that make sense? And then the services that we provide. There's no cost up front.
How do we get to $500 a month for service? Monthly subtotal.
I think it has to do with the 10.
Microsoft 365 MFA is 360 a month for 10 years.
And that would change you guys from network solutions to the doctrine, so it's more secure. So you wouldn't get all the.
Oh, so this isn't a running subtotal that we're seeing in here. This is a line by line, they're providing out what the charge will be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And some of these are like one-time fixed charges then, like the support advisory is a one, oh no, that's, the Wisconsin MFA implement, so that's a $975 one-time charge.
Yeah.
And so for the first 2 years, though, our monthly service charge is covered, it's the 3rd year we pay $525 a month?
yes.
5:30. And then every year thereafter, because then once we get service through them, it's going
Well,
forward.
you have to guarantee to pay for the third year, and then, yeah, I guess if you decide not to,
It's
no
a
longer.
$6,360 item each year.
I'm sorry, Melissa?
That is $6,360 every year going forward.
And for the grant, to qualify for the grant, we have to agree to the years, and the third year we can pay.
Third year you have to pay, yes.
However, after the second year, we have the option of canceling.
No.
You don't.
You have to do the third year. You can cancel after the third year.
Okay.
And what are the options to that?
With having your own.
And this is the only other option of having that kind of security.
With the grant, yes. You can pay for it on your own.
And that's all, that much amount.
Yeah. Pay for it yourself.
But if we stop after year 3, we no longer have that MFA at all.
If you do, if you do.
And then, if you cancel your Microsoft emails as well.
Will that be changing how we have our emails now?
Yeah.
So we're getting the whole 365 system?
Just the email.
Just the
It would-
email
It would
of
just be a
365.
.gov.
Yeah,
But
the
it'll be
network
that-
solutions goes
Would
away.
that be Outlook then, that we'll have
Probably.
for Microsoft?
And our lawyer probably hasn't had a chance to take a peek at this.
Do you have a meeting with them on the 22nd, Deneen, to discuss additional equipment?
So those are for additional security,
Okay.
and so I opted out of that because of the cost of this one.
Okay. Just ask, because
But if you want to add on, you can,
I didn't know if that meant other forms of security, like hotspots or VPN logins or.
be like for like cloud backups, those types of things.
Yeah.
You want technical support, softwares, things like that.
I think I'm good for that. Other people might need it.
Like 530 a month.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
So then it goes back to the question, is there an option where just the 3 village employees have the service and not everybody?
I already have the .gov email.
So, but I mean, instead of having all the trustees, keep the trustees on what we have and protect the actual hardware here in Village Hall. Is there an option to go with just 3, so it would be Rich, Troy, and you having the MFA, because that's the day-to-day operations. Primarily you are.
Yes. It's a question I can ask.
Because that would significantly change our cost.
It's, the goal, though, I think, of the state is protecting the municipality as a whole. Which means you guys have laptops and emails and communications and, does that make sense? I think that's the whole process, the whole grant is to protect the municipality. It's just a cyber attack.
Weren't you looking at other options that didn't look this steep?
Like she said, to get into it, and then once you're in it, they pretty much walk out. I didn't see anything cheaper. I don't even know how this competes with the .gov and all that.
We'd all have .gov then.
You would.
Yeah.
That's the same
$6,000 annual budget item for a community of 800 people. Every single year.
So what's the alternative? Just what we have now?
Continue doing what we're doing and hope we don't get hacked. Educating people on don't open emails with attachments from people who don't know.
Yeah, and I already, just like a week or so ago, I got a suspicious email that was supposed to be from Network Solutions, but who knows if it really was. Yeah. And apparently nobody else got it. So,
I suppose we haven't had time, it's like, what are the other small communities like us doing? Are they doing this?
I got one on the 8th. I got one on the 8th. I get spam all the time.
okay. Yeah, well, yeah, we all do.
Usually get the guy that wants to sell us chairs.
I got spam from the
What was the question or the response, or the statement?
apparently something went to my spam from the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Network Solutions is not, it's a cheap.
I mean,
That's why you use it, because it's cheap.
but this would provide us more security and hopefully we wouldn't receive these spams.
Well, for $6,000, I want more than a hopefully.
Well, that's true. It better be this won't happen again.
Unfortunately.
Because that's what
Technology
technology's
securing your
always.
server as well, so also security numbers,
Hmm.
utility accounts, things like that, so.
Yeah, so
Do we have social security numbers? We don't want to order?
Payroll.
And this is through legal municipalities, so I'm sure they've looked at options and what's cost effective for municipalities.
But what are other tiny little communities like us doing? Do they have this now? Because they're operating on a tiny budget like we are. How do you pay for all this?
That's why the states come up with a grant. And they do it for 2 years.
That's not helping. They're helping handle a future bill.
I mean, is it possible in that 2-year time frame to set aside, like in a capital fund?
That's what I'm saying, it's going forward that makes it more difficult to come up with 6,000 every year.
I know, but then after the 3rd year, there's an option to opt out.
And why would you want to do that?
Yeah, that would be one.
I mean, it's just a waste of your money to opt
Yeah.
out after 3 years and go with nothing.
Right.
That's the fun.
That's true. And given the fact that it protects our servers and, you know, residents' information, utility information, and social security numbers for anyone getting a paycheck.
But we have some form of protection now. It's not like it's completely unsecured. They have to be able to hack it.
Correct.
It's not like we're running around with zero security,
Correct.
just not to this level.
Just cybersecurity is on the rise. First, getting counties and schools, and then local finances next. It's the third highest cyber attack.
I just,
I would think tank is going to get
Everything.
yeah. I think,
every person.
They can't unload our bank accounts. They'd have to do that through the bank.
but they would get,
Get your information.
yeah, they would get,
Kind of like a credit, how you get credit cards.
So the information they get are basically name and address.
And if I have your social security.
and also would residents, yeah, and utility numbers.
We can't do anything with those.
What part of this expires for tomorrow morning? What do we have to have a decision by tomorrow? Oh.
The grant closes August 18th, so we're not getting that much. Because we contemplated it for the last 2 months.
I just,
Is there any wiggle room in the budget to be able to prepare, to just plan for this?
Well, we have a couple of years to plan for years.
yeah, that, like I'm saying, is to the money that we would get charged on the third year, bank it into like a capital fund.
Like now, so that we're ready?
And does
Is that
some
what
of
you mean?
this get billed out to each department? Put it on the door. Put it on his water. Put it on sewer. Put it on his sewer. So
Well, we can charge some of it to the water and sewer utilities because it's protecting customer information, but it can't be like tip and all that.
Small percentage.
A small percentage of the water and sewer.
Can you just clarify for me, Denise, the grant is for, they're saying that they're looking at submitting a grant for 26,895. What is the project cost of 14,175? What is that breaking out? Am I missing that? Because I don't see that, like, what, how we got that 17?
So that's the MDR and MFA. And getting the government license for the email.
But isn't that, like, I don't see how all the numbers in this quote come out to be 14,174. Where am I missing?
So what she printed out is 1 year. And so you look at the total, 7,000.
Force 25.
425.
And she just said roughly 14. She did it
So she was
before.
going for the
She gave this to me before the actual contract was written. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So that's why.
so she was guessing on that amount, so that's, what,
That's 2 years.
2 years with the project, and the possibility we might get 26 in the grant, or
That's
no?
what they, yes.
So then, what do we do with the remainder of that money? Or does that go to pay that?
That goes to pay them for that 530 reoccurring.
So do we have to pay this company to write the grant at all? No, this is the one that we don't have to.
That is correct.
That's right, okay. I mean, this is just, as you kind of said, this is something we don't feel, it doesn't seem like we need until all of a sudden, crap, we didn't have it, and then we're busted. And that's a nightmare.
I mean, and given the fact that county schools are being hacked, correct? When municipalities are,
Because they know that they don't have cybersecurity.
so,
I know the auditors always put it in your audit too. Just so you know.
And we only have one clerk. Ugh. So we agree to this, we pay nothing on day one, so what if we don't get the grant? Then we don't have to sign an agreement?
You will get the grant, she said, because you're not over 100,000, unless you can't pay the third year, then you automatically just go with them.
So, but how do they know whether we can pay the third year?
Because you have to sign an agreement you're going to pay. And if you don't sign it, then you don't get it. state guarantee you would get grant money. If that makes sense, like it's a 50/50 grant, but they're saying you have to guarantee money for services.
You know how long grants cost you money?
Nothing's free,
Guarantees for
ever.
So then when we determine the budget for 2025 and 2026, will we put money aside, like kind of what you were saying, Kate, is that what you were meaning? That we go ahead and already start putting something aside that will be there? How do we determine how much we are doing that? So that, make sure that we have that 30.
Right.
I know it's $530 a month.
But would we put 530 right now with the next budget? I'm just trying to figure out how do we make sure that we have it, so that we're not,
Well, I mean, in theory, if you wanted to try to cover it over 2 years, you would put half of it in for the next budget, half of it in for the following year. But you could, if you had extra money in the budget, just put it in all of the capital fund for next year. But I don't know what the budget's gonna look like, so I couldn't guarantee that that's an option.
yeah.
So half and half might be more realistic, or a quarter and 3/4 the following year, just depending on what budgets look like.
You're gonna have to work towards
Keep in
funding it
mind.
every year thereafter, though.
And then keep in mind the fourth year is probably going to increase because nothing ever gets cheaper.
Especially with technology.
You're such a ray of sunshine.
I'd rather have a realist than an optimist.
That's for sure.
So if we do it, we're signing on year 3 for roughly 6,400. You might as well say by year 4, we're gonna be up to $7,000 a year. Because inflation, by the time we get to the point at the rate we're going, that's where we're at.
So technology is the way of the world.
What percentage of your villages do auto pay for bills?
What percentage of villages do
What percent of our residents do auto pay for their utilities?
not quite a third?
So less than a third of our residents do that, okay. And our software that we log in, is it encrypted at all, that information is stored in? It is not.
It's just a file.
I just, personally, I feel that we have really no choice. I mean, I agree with what Matthew's saying, is, try to set like half 1 year and half the second year, so the monies are available the third year, but then that doesn't solve any year after. But I just think it's,
I think this is one of those things where like someone's got to be constantly like looking for better price deals on everything. I wouldn't get into this and just be like, this is what we have forever now, we're just gonna pay $1,000.
well, the fourth year, the board at that time can possibly look at other options. I mean, we're only bound to this agreement for 3 years. So, in that third year, during budget time, the board can be looking at other options that provide the security but don't cost quite so much.
Or maybe we could just be realizing these costs are going to go up and we need to be prepared to incur them. Kind of do a little bit of all of the above. Because I don't think it's going to go away. And like Denise said, nothing seems to go down in price.
Right?
And they would just have to be.
Somebody make a motion. Let's vote.
to the grant of $26,895, first 2 years being free, the third year we will have to pay $530 per month. All those in favor?
You need a second.
What's that?
You need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I've been,
I'll second.
okay. So we have a motion from Kate, a second from Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carried.
What's that?
That's right. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I've been,
All those in favor?
aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at